Across the Park podcast is proud to be sponsored by Globe Gas and Heating. For the best kitchen and bathroom renovations, boiler servicing and repair, and central and underfloor heating in the Northwest, head over to globecentralheating.com and quote Across the Park for a free quote. Good evening, welcome to Across the Park podcast. Judgy's dog has just jumped in just right on cue just to add to what's going on. Look, we weren't sure whether to do a podcast or not because a lot of great content providers have put their feelings out there, and I think that the masses of Evertonians are probably feeling a little bit maybe worried or disheartened by where we are. But me and Judgy just thought it was best to get together and do 20 minutes or so, and no scripts, no socials. Judgy, bit of a worrying day at Old Trafford yesterday. You were there. I think one of your comments to me was during the day as we looked so easy to play against. This is a difficult run we're in. There's choppy shores ahead. Are you? You've seen our socials. A lot of worried Evertonians. Do you share that? Are you worried at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. I think what's the most concerning thing, and I'm sure any Evertonian or general football fan would agree with this, is how easy the team are to score against, and that's a Sean Dyche team. So the one thing he's always been synonymous with as a manager is making his teams hard to beat. You know, defending set plays well, being resolute, being solid, being difficult to play through. We were none of those things yesterday. I think every time United got possession, it was so easy to cut through, to penetrate. The defence didn't seem to have an idea of what line to play off. The fullbacks just looked so exposed every time United got the ball wide. The keeper was so erratic. I mean, everyone knows generally my opinions on the keeper, but I think he's had some, he's obviously had more good games for Everton. He's had bad games, that's for sure. But yesterday was certainly one of the bad ones for me. Even from there, though, I think, I've started there by talking about the defensive side of it, but there seemed to be a bit of uncertainty from Pickford in terms of what the game plan was when we were in possession. Was he hitting better early? Was he hitting the flanks? Were we playing out? He tried to force a pass into the core, which has ended up in their first goal. He was indecisive in terms of when he was coming off his line or not. He didn't organise the team on a number of set plays very well. I think what was very clear yesterday, and it's happened for me on a number of occasions this season, is the opposition have analysed the way that we play in possession, the way we defend set plays, the way we attack set plays, and it was one or two simple strategies that just completely undone us. And I just don't see the same thing happening on the other side. I don't see us very rarely exposing the opposition for flaws that they've got or that we can see in their game. So it's so many alarm bells from yesterday's performance. But again, I think the main point I made to you, where I said, that we were so easy to play against, was the one that just hurt more than anything else.
Yeah, look, I think for me, it just comes on. This is the run now where we've looked at, almost from mid-June when the fixtures came out and said let's not be in a difficult position at the very minimum when this run hits us because it's tough. Sean Dyche has got a bit of a pedigree with Everton, that he's beaten Chelsea, he's beaten Liverpool, he's given teams a game with this sort of, I wouldn't even call it a low block. I don't even know what style we play anymore. I don't see an identity, but we've came into it, and I think the metrics with Sean Dyche is the first season he came in January, and we looked doomed, and he done a good job. Last season, the 10-point deduction came, and we looked doomed, and he'd done a good job. But this season was almost the season where he had to do more, where he had to get us away from this situation. And I wouldn't go as far as saying he's sort of auditioning for a new contract, because I don't think anybody thinks or thought that he would get a new contract at the end of this 2.5-year deal he's been brought in to do a job. But the worrying thing for me now, Judge, is I don't think he's doing the job we brought him in to do, and I don't want to exclude the players. The players, there was you know, my opinion on it or not doesn't really count, but those players laughing and smiling yesterday, and fair enough, they might have friends or they might have a crack with the fourth official, but it just feels at the minute like, but it's just not aligned, that the manager, the team, and the fans. Like, are you feeling similar?
That wasn't a team that was fighting for points yesterday for me. It wasn't individuals that were trying to win the battles. You know, the yellow cards that we conceded were more from like sloppy challenges than kind of
Yeah.
fouls that were and you know, where we've lost possession or from frustration more than anything else, or embarrassment at times. I think the Michalenko one, maybe he gets caught out a little bit, and that's a bit more of a professional foul. But the young one and the guy ones were just frustration, like almost like kicking out, and you know, just they just don't look. I agree. They don't look like a team that are really battling. That are really you know, feel like that they're in a situation that they need to go that extra mile. It was again. I go back to that comment. It was such a easy afternoon for Man United. We didn't. All right, we may have had the chance from Beto or whatever. We had a couple of half chances, but it never felt to me like we were in the game. You know, in possession or out of possession. We never hurt them at any point. And you know, we're going into a game on Wednesday against Wolves, and I'm sure we're going to touch on it in a moment. But that's a huge game, and I just don't feel like that. I mean, whether that, and we've seen it before from Sean Dyche's teams, that he goes away to, you know, big teams like Man United or teams either end of the table and almost lies down, and it's like, well, no, this game isn't as important as the game on Wednesday. I think the fact he dropped, or would you say rested, Dominic Calvert-Lewin again is almost a point towards the fact that he believes the game on Wednesday against Wolves is more important, and I wouldn't argue with that. But I still feel, you know, you go into Old Trafford, as always, you bring a big following. You're playing a team that's in transition. I watched them in the week against Bodo Glimt, and they look like a team that could be got at. And you know,
They started
like,
nervous, United. They started nervous.
yeah.
We had moments, didn't we, where if that was a better team, you just scored a goal against them.
And it was a team with confidence and a team with a belief in what the game plan was and how we were going to score. So I didn't see that. We had the ball, and we actually had more possession than we usually have, certainly away from home. But Sean's like, but they just, as we've seen so many times, time and time again, they've just got no idea what to do with it. They're going from right to left, they're clipping balls in behind. The wingers, you know, don't really have any options when they get it, apart from, you know, and Dyche just has to get it and run. He's the only player. He just gets it and goes, I'm just gonna go on my own here because there's nothing else that I can do. And it's the only time we looked at threat is when he had the ball. And it wasn't to do with anything, you know, in terms of game plan. It was just him getting it and trying to be direct. But apart from that, we were just completely devoid of ideas. And it's just so, yeah, it's so concerning, but more so just utterly frustrating.
You can put narratives on number of stats. You can perceive stats how you want them. One of our good mates who watches this, he put something in before saying if Everton beat Wolves on Wednesday, it's 2 losses in 10 with only 8 goals conceded. The worrying thing for me is we're not winning a lot of those games, and I looked at a stat here that someone's put on Twitter today. This season there's been 2 4-0 defeats. There's been a 3-0 loss at home already. We threw a 2-goal lead away twice this season. There's no goal since before Halloween, and in that period we've played Southampton, West Ham, 10 men, Brentford, and then the person who's tweeted this has said only 7 wins since December. They're just alarming stats. Alarming stats.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks to me like it's not. If you read that about any other team, you'd say whatever's going on there is not working.
I mean, let me read out the teams that we played in that run of 10 matches, which is going to include Wolves. So let's go Wolves, Man United, Brentford, West Ham, Southampton, Fulham, Ipswich, Newcastle, Palace, Leicester. You could not ask for a better run of 10 fixtures than that. You really couldn't. And I include Man United in that because they are a team, as I said, in transition. That is as easy a run of fixtures as you could hope, as you could wish for. And you've got 2 victories from that, one at home to Palace and one away to Ipswich. And the defeats obviously have come against Southampton and Man United without scoring a goal in those 2 games. So, yeah, I mean, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess you could say. And as you say, there's several different ways to look at a set of stats, but I think that run of fixtures, if you'd asked us how many points would you expect or hope to get from that run of fixtures, I would definitely be saying more than 9 or 10 points, which is what it looks like we're going to get at the moment. 2 victories from that run of fixtures is not good enough.
No, I think the best set of eyes as a supporter you could really have are your own eyes and what you're watching and your heart and how you feel about what you're seeing. And I ain't feeling it. I think we're in. I said this last week, and I'm at danger of repeating myself. I think Sean Dyche was an 18-month manager, unfortunately, in a job that required a 2.5-year manager, and it's just not working. It is not, and I don't want to come on, and I don't want this to be a clip or a meme, and I don't want to, rant and rave, but we've titled the show "Is Now the Time for Change." I'd go as far as saying I think it's imminent. I think it is absolutely imminent.
I was definitely in the camp of let's give him this season, right up until probably a month ago. And I'm not in the camp of saying it was a bad appointment in the first place. There've been people that's going as far as to say, the worst manager you have in our history and this, that, and the other. I'm not of that opinion at all yet. I don't see anything positive that's going to come from this season by retaining him as manager now. Obviously, I don't think it's been almost stated anyway. The change won't happen until the owners come in, but I'd be surprised if it was more than 48 hours after the owners took charge that we had a new manager.
We've got a big, massive week ahead. Wednesday, we play Wolves. Saturday, the last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. If there was a week to turn it around, it's now. But I'm clutching. I don't even believe what I'm saying. I don't think. I'm nervous for Wednesday. I'm terrified for Saturday. I just don't see it. Can you fill me with any sort of hope here or?
No, I can't. I mean, I think Wednesday. I wouldn't be surprised to see us get a result on Wednesday. I think Wolves are a poor side. I think they're a team again like ourselves that are really struggling to get anything from the manager, or a club that are struggling to get much from the manager. I think he's got a squad that's very, very imbalanced. I think the one thing I would say, if we were going to preview the game with a Wolves fan, would be the one thing they have got, which we haven't got at the moment, is someone who's scoring goals. Their forward Larson has scored goals this season.
Yeah,
he got 2 at the weekends. I think that's maybe 4. I'm just looking to see how many he's got now. But I think it's 4 that he's got, or 5 in the last 7 or 8 games. So you'd have to look at that and think, well, they've got the edge over us there. They're a team that have looked very easy to score against, but we're not a team that are scoring goals. So for all the positives you look at, there's just as much reason to be nervous about it as well. Just looking at it, 6 goals he's got in 13 games. I mean, you look at their recent run of fixtures or results. It's not terrible. I mean, up until the weekends, they beat Fulham away from home 4-1. They beat Southampton at home 2-0. Drew with Palace, drew with Brighton. They're actually on a better run of form than us. They've taken 8 points from the last 5 games, which is better than us. So it's again, I wouldn't be surprised to see us beat Wolves, but equally, I wouldn't be surprised to see them come to Goodison and really try and put us to the sword. Because I think they'll be looking at that game thinking, if we can get that first goal, the crowds are really going to be up against the manager. And yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
It feels very similar to me. If you remember, it was exactly 2 years, well, almost exactly 2 years, or maybe a month shy of 2 years, where we had Southampton at Goodison, and Frank Lampard was under a lot of pressure. And we went into the Southampton game, and it didn't go right, and it was curtains. The fans that night were on fire. They were chasing players down streets, and we were part of the sit-in protest against the running of the club, weren't we? Where everything was just, it just feels like we're getting to that situation where everyone's getting a little bit, me especially, getting a bit nervous about things, and a bit, this was the year to not be down there. This was the year where his press conference on Sunday evening, and it was the official Everton channel who put this out, and they're great people who do the media there. So I'm not digging them out at all. They just do their job and they put the press conference out. It took them 30 seconds to reference 2 years ago and the problems he inherited. I don't know. I'm not getting him anymore. I'm just not.
No. I mean, you go back to this is the season where we could or shouldn't have been down there. I mean, going back to that run of fixtures, we beat Southampton, which we absolutely should do. Southampton would be on 2 points now without the three points they picked up from us, and we'd be on 14. I'm not saying we'd be, jumping, shouting from the rooftops and saying what a great season it is now, but
you'd feel better.
Yeah, you'd feel a hell of a lot better, but that's the minimum that we should be on. So yeah, that's the frustrating thing. It was a bit of a tap in the season. He could have, he should be at this stage now, and we should be sitting in maybe 12th, 13th place. Should be okay. Listen, Sean, let's see out the season. That he's made it right from pig's ear of it. I said it a few weeks ago. The minute you start alienating the fan base, particularly our fan base, you're right up against it. He's really pushed us now as a fan base.
I don't think he means to. I don't think he means to either. I think he's just not. That's who he is, because he also, in the same press conference, he said he got asked about the Everton fans leaving early, and you were there and seeing it yourself, and he said, I'm not digging the fans out, and I never have. We didn't win a game, and they're entitled to leave. So I don't think he means to do it. I just think he's such a diverse character, and I just don't think he's aligned with what we want. Well, he's definitely aligned with what we needed at the time, and that was a bad position to be in. That was very David Unsworth, Sam Allardyce come and sort it out, because the guy before he's messed up. So we did need him, but now
I just think whenever he gets put under the spotlight and pressure, and it seems as though the question or the accusations level towards his management, he just looks for something else to push it on. So I don't disagree with it. Maybe he doesn't mean it, but I think his instinct is to find an excuse and to blame someone else other than himself and his coaching team. And look, I think, at times maybe you've got to have that level of arrogance as a Premier League manager, because you've got your team and your players have got to believe that you know what you're doing. And I'm not saying he turns around and says, I don't know what I'm doing, but I think sometimes you got to go, you know what? The team are not playing well. We're not finding answers on the training pitch because they're not. We're getting caught out from the same things time and time again. The amount of teams who play a slightly different corner against us or a different set, and we just get done from it. The amount of times we struggle to find an alternative to that one corner that we played all season. The amount of times that we don't have ideas in the final third, the amount of times that we miss chances. Now, all right, you can point to the players, but like I've said on time and time again on this show, the lack of confidence for the players in front of goal is a reflection on the management and the coaches. You've got to do something about that. There is something you can do about that, but they're not. And time again, we're found wanting in both boxes, and that for me is solved or is worked on in the training grounds.
You almost wonder how we're shaping up at Finch Farm to attack teams and break teams down. Is it as simple as we've got one trick, we're a one-trick pony where we'll be rough and we'll try and win the second ball, and we'll hope for send the big man up for set pieces, because apart from Ndiaye, and I know McNeil had a decent 4 or 5 weeks in the 10, he's slowed right down for me. Apart from Ndiaye, who almost at times seems to be throwing his hands in the air because he hasn't got players around him who can link up with him. It just feels like we're not really there. But look, it's a big week ahead, content-wise. I know you're doing a show previewing a Merseyside derby. We'll just reveal that we're going to have the brilliant Jack Elliott from In Demand Radio coming back on, and he's going to have an opponent to the other side of the ring. It's friend of the show, Andy Grant, who Judge, one of your best mates. I'm sure he's looking forward to coming on an Everton podcast this week.
Oh, he absolutely is. Yeah, it's not going to be an easy show for Jack, that's for sure. No, listen, I think from our perspective, it's been in our DNA as a show to make this derby week as authentic as we can make it, and I certainly don't think, despite what a lot of our fans in this podcast will not like Andy because he's a big red. But listen, that's what Merseyside
We've been brought up on, isn't it? That rivalry of banter and.
That's what it's been about for us, though, on these shows. We've never ducked away from having a strong red on these shows, whether it be an ex-player, whether it be a local sports person that we've had, like David Price in the past. We've had Jamie Carragher. We've had Stephen Warnock. We've had many special guests and good friends of the show, and these two both come into that category. Jack's a big blue, and Andy's a big red. I'll be sitting in the middle, obviously sitting heavily on Jack's side, and he'll need it. He'll need that backing. But there's no doubt that the Reds are going into this derby very, very confident for a number of reasons, and I don't blame them.
We'll park that for now, the Merseyside derby, because we've got something else coming up, which is Wednesday. All cards on the table. We're trying to get a Wolves fan on. Diary clashes. We are trying. We hope to be able to bring you an away fan preview because we do get really good feedback on that. So we're going to try and get a Wolves fan on. It'd be really, really interesting to hear their perspective on how they view Everton more than anything, and whether they see this as a bit of a chance for them to leap ahead of the teams below them. And then we're going to try and do an instant match reaction on Wednesday as well. Whether we can or can't is going to be different because we tried something new last time which didn't quite work. So we'll see where we land with that. But we are available on the socials, and we do appreciate the socials. We're almost at now, and I'm making it sound a lot to a lot of people. If you include all our subscribers on every platform, we're over 20,000 now, and that's just a credit to we started off as a podcast which was had Reds on it, for you to stick with us and support us, especially during times like this where it's not nice to leave the game. People who are travelling and getting back on coaches and trains, and then me and Judge, you take our little ones to the game, and it's hard to not have dad guilt, and we know you go through it as well. So we do really appreciate you sticking with the Across the Park podcast. Our Twitter, our Instagram, and our YouTube handle is at Across the Park PC, listed below Judge's pecs just there. Judge, it's been good to catch up. I know we sometimes we don't have a lot of positive things, but I think it's therapy, isn't it? You always feel better, and we hope our listeners feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a massive week, as you said at the start of the show, and I think as you say, as one of our good friends said in the group today, it could look very different with a win against Wolves, and maybe dare we dream about just getting a result against Liverpool and halting their brilliant run. So yeah, look, it's I think what I'd say, and we always say to the fans, whether you like the manager or hate the manager, the players are going to need us on Wednesday. How many times have we had to say it, and I don't think it's always a case of us, trying to dig the players out or trying to say, being that 12th man. I just think we've got to go into this game on Wednesday and try and help the players get that first goal, get on the front foot. As I said, this is a Wolves team that you can't get at, but equally I think if we go 1-0 down, or if we take a while to get that first goal, I think it could be a very, very difficult night for the players, and I think the players are going to need the fans to be on the front foot with them.
Spot on. Just one last shout. The 1878s are asking for volunteers to what they call their biggest display ever for the last ever Merseyside derby. We retweeted it over on our socials. They're asking for volunteers for Saturday to help make the lower Gladys Street terrace look as good as it can be for the last ever time we host that loss. So anyone who's interested, go over to our socials at Across the Park PC. You'll see the retweet there. Judge, I'm going to let you go. I know you've got a lot of dad duties tonight, so it's been nice to catch up for 25 minutes. Everyone watching or listening, thank you so much again for checking us out. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. We are in this together, win, lose, or draw. Thank God we have got each other. Up the Toffees.